we're really happy today. Welcome to Marketeers Clubhouse. I'm Jamie Calon, the host. I've got my co-host Alex Langevin on the mic as well today. Alex, welcome. We're sitting down with a friend of ours, Gabe Denis. Did I get the last name correct? Alex, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, you got it right.
I nailed it. I'm getting better. Gabe is instrumental in a company called Loki Box Design, and you can find it at lokiboxdesign.com. And I love this company. Gabe, you guys build the coolest shit. And for people, please go to, like, before you even want to get into this, maybe just go take a peek at the website. It's Loki Box Design, LOKIBOXDESIGN.com. Go take a look at what they do. They're taking shipping containers, standard shipping containers, and they modify them and build these insane promotional structures for brands and other things. The stuff that we're going to sort of focus on today is a little bit of the brand executionable sort of stuff that you guys do with these, and they're incredible. Anything from small sort of little pop-up shops that can get dropped off in a spot, 20-foot container, so 20 by 8 by 8 feet tall footprint that unfolds into this larger consumer experience that would sit at music events, large outdoor things. They go get dragged up onto ski hills. These are super dynamic environments, giving the brand full control over the consumer's experience of the brand when they're on site, which is everything a brand wants. Instead of someone showing up, popping up a 10 by 10 or a 10 by 20 tent and kind of mashing stuff in, this is the whole next tier. This is like legitimately a brand experience. So Gabe, welcome. I'm super excited to hear sort of how you guys got started, where you came from. So welcome.
Thank you, Jimmy. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So what's your role in the company? Where did it start? How did it all move forward? Where were you before that? And let's
start from the beginning. I'll try to be quick. I know Alex from another life, so I was in action sport. Basically, I was brought on a ski hill with the demo tent. I was 15. Back in the days, it was for Atlantis. So that was with Nick. So I've been introduced into that very bizarre and unique and sick world, which is action sport. And I kind of grew up in that path for almost 15 years. So I ended up working full time with Nick, and then we were working for Vans. And we went to that transition with Vans being distributed by a distributor in Montreal to being in-house with Vans Canada. So it brings me travel a lot to California, meeting cool people, see how like a big business is working, how you manage your assets, how you want to be positioning in a market. So that was the best school for me to grow up in the environment. And being honest, and coming from Quebec City, it's very hard to have a good English. So when I was early 20s, it was hard for me to being comfortable and speak English. So that was a massive help for me growing up in that environment. And eventually I ended up working so much and being involved so much in the agency that I was sailing fun, but I was not having fun anymore because I was just working, So one day I decided that I need to take a break, and just I was 28 years old, I just want to have a step back and see other stuff. So I kind of left in a very good terms with the agency. I'm still a very close friend with Nick at this day still, and I decided to go on the trip and surf because, I was a snowboarder and a surfer. I just want to surf. And eventually one of my buddy called me, say, hey, I heard you've been not working for a couple of months. You want to come in a gig for Microsoft in Austin for South by Southwest. We having this gig with a modified shipping container. And that wasn't another small company from Montreal. And eventually they kind of disappeared. But those guys were basically the the start of that fire, that they were taking a shipping container, putting a little bit of hydraulic in it, and they had like two shapes. So there was like 20-footer and a 40-footer that we still use today. That's because the unit were owned by a brand, by Bell. So that was very like the beginning of it. But when this company just go away, we had customer out in the market in the state, in Canada, they has assets. They were, hey guys, we need help. So basically having that design, we ended up realizing that, yeah, you can do cool design, but how you activated those things. The execution is the design itself is amazing. The design is what we're selling, and that's what the client want. But if the client invests that amount of money into structure, how you make sure it gets around easily and it get executed properly. So the business kind of shift. So I have two business partner, PM, which is like an artist. So he's the guy who have the craziest idea. And I don't know how many times for the last 15 years, like, man, you're crazy. It's impossible. We won't be able to do that, and GL, my other business partner, is very like a very, down to earth guy, very handy, he can make anything possible, so that combo through the years made us wanting to be not just the basic shipping container that stay on the ground and it just full with basic doors. We were like, hey, let's go higher, let's go like double decker, let's go like 3 stories. Is it possible? And in 2014 we come up with what we call the BB2, which is the Bell Box second version.
Sure.
And that thing just light up the brand so big and bold, because we won a lot of awards across United States and North Canada, because basically in 5 days we were like going up 4 story in the air with the VIP patio, with the giant LED screen on the side, right there in Montreal or Toronto Film Festival. And everybody was looking at us. You guys are crazy. You won't achieve that. And I remember going at the TIFF in 2014, and people were like, "Yeah, you guys not going to make it for the day that we were crying." It was like, "Yeah, come back in 4 days, you'll see." And that was a challenge for us. So, and the part of that execution where we were making sure it was possible is because now everything is in-house. So from the design perspective, for the sell side of it as well. So a client knock on our door, come sit with us, talk to us, and then we do renders. And when the renders are signed for the contract and they decide what they want to do, it's basically everything after that. It's in-house. We got welder, we got electrical guy, we got the guy who will do the furniture and stuff. So we realize after a year that if you manage everything from E to Z, you making sure you always above and beyond. And after 10 years with Loki, I think I can humbly say that we achieved something very tangible, and the brands are liking us, and it's still infinite. It's still like very infinite, and yeah, it was very fun. And still today we have so many shapes that we haven't had the time to accomplish yet. They're still in the cloud, and we know one day we're gonna push them to a client that they wants it. But so yeah, that's where we stand. And COVID was rough with us. So for like a couple of years, we have to lay low, make sure we go through the storm and keep all this knowledge, and keep all the good asset, staff and everything. And now I feel in 2023 we're stronger than ever, and we kept everything through the storm, so we're ready to do more.
Yeah, for you guys, COVID would have been tragic because all outdoor events and all major events stopped, and your executions are directly in that world. So one, kudos for being able to keep the doors open. Your product is something the world needs. Like, it is so dope, and your clients are insane. Like, just even looking through your website, the finish and the polish of everything you guys do is so incredible. And just to break things down a little bit for people listening, this event-esque style, trade marketing style execution that Loki is doing is at the very end of the chain. So, a company like Coors would create all of this marketing collateral upstream. They then this all starts slowly filtering down through the organization, and the last 2 or 3 people that touch it, that have to turn this into stuff that consumers actually interact with, other than physical, like newspaper ads, magazine ads, stuff that, billboards, that sort of stuff kind of happens upstream. But the trade marketing team, which is the world I live in and my companies deal with, get tasked to turning all that upstream marketing material into sales tools, stuff that moves the needle from the sales agent to the retailer to the customer. That's the chain that we operate in, is right there. And our products are called, when we output them, are called sales tools. And those look like window fronts, displays in stores, that kind of stuff. The world that Gabe and Loki Box is working in is more in the event area, but it also is very much trade marketing-esque stuff, because as soon as you start in trade shows and that sort of stuff, you're in the trade marketing world. And the level of like sophistication out of having these units is just so next level. And your clients, like, they're not small. Red Bull, Bobcat, Coors, and I'm on one page, Volvo, Bell. Like, these are super heavy hitting people that are willing to, execute on a structure. Like, what's the minimum level cost? Like, I'm assuming minimum level cost is probably, I'm going to randomly guess, for a tiny, simple 20-foot execution is probably close to a $50,000 thing once it's up and running. And I'm assuming that like something like that Bell execution, which is 3 levels, multiple containers, like 6 to 8 containers, like we're getting into we're getting into millions of dollars worth of logistics and executions for people to execute this stuff. So it's expensive as hell, but with a big but. It's so pro that it should be expensive. Like, the Bell triple level thing is like, it's mind blowing. It's like you built a building at an event that should not even possibly exist. And even more importantly, you can pack it up and reuse it, which is fucking incredible. It's incredible. So like,
and this, Jamie, just not to interrupt you, but this 3 level, it's amazing because it haven't been used for a couple of years and it was sitting at our warehouse. And after the exit of COVID, that was like late September 2022, we get, I don't know if you know Cariad, which is all the immersive and intelligent side of Autobahn.
okay.
So which is Audi, Porsche, and Vaux. So the agency work with, they give us a call in September and say, hey, we want this in CES in January. We're like, all right, we'll look into it. But it's not the good color. We want them like 3 different color. Every level needs to have a different color. So basically, they give us like 2 months to repaint everything, ship it to Vegas. And in Vegas right now for CES, they had a new area, a new hall. And we're very close from Freeman, especially in Vegas, in the Las Vegas Convention Center, and everybody was like, never ever in Vegas, nobody has ever gone 3-story high inside Las Vegas Convention Center. And the guy Freeman, Bill, that I know very well, was like, hey Gabe, let's do this. So I remember like setting that up December 26th. I flew Vegas on December 25th. We were supposed to be a crew of 6 guys. 4 of them get delayed until the 29th. So I was there, only me and my buddy, haven't touched it for 3 years, going into the trusses all the way up. And we were like 6 inches from the trusses of the convention center, and we made it. And it was so sick. And people were freaking out. And when we were done, like the guy Bill was like, told you we were able to do that. And yeah, we were the first going 3-story high, and there it was pretty exciting. So nice. Yeah.
Did you guys have any engineering issues with just load against the slab? Like was is
Yeah,
yeah, like
all the time.
yeah. So like with this, how did you guys did you have to reinforce the slab in the convention center, or was it stable
Actually,
enough to
actually, no. We just like usually we use like steel plate, just for load dispersion, like
yeah,
to displace.
spread the load out.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's how we roll usually. But when we use that particular unit outside, we have anti-seismic beams.
Mm,
So usually that thing sits on like 32 feet wide beams, and then we go up. But sits inside, we don't need to do that. So yeah, we work with all the engineer. We have to work with external engineer
mm.
firms to make sure like they stamp everything. So that's the biggest challenge when we go into the convention center and stuff. But it makes stuff more exciting, I guess.
Yeah, it does make things more exciting. Uh, Alex, you've been so quiet. I know you got a million questions. Let's hear your voice.
Yeah, I do have a question. I was wondering because it seems like for example, our business model has a portion of last minute execution. With all the brands and the budget like approval. Like what's your business model in terms of last minute versus like how early can you get into like a go to market process with brands? Are you part from the beginning, or it's more like at the end going like, hey, we need this thing for this trade show or this event, we need this in 8 weeks, like how can we
Yeah.
turn it up?
That was the thing with Cariad. Usually, I feel when we go directly with brands, and then we talk with them on a yearly basis. It's easier. So when we've been in the loop, for example, with we do a lot of stuff with Can-Am for their off-road market. We're gonna start next year. It's 10 years working with them. So we bring concept every year. We chat on a almost on a weekly basis. So we can get ready for the next move, But I feel when you work with agencies they ask you stuff. They ask you for pricing and concept and renders, and then you don't hear about them for like a couple months, and then they go back and say, hey, all right, it's working. You say, yeah, but it's 7 weeks. You say, yeah, but I mean, it's can you do that? Like we'll see what we can do. So we have a couple tricks here and there. We have a few of our assets sitting in the southwest of the state in California, in Nevada. So it's proximity for some of their late requests. And sometimes brands go, hey, the unit is white, but I want it pink. So instead, going through the process of going into a paint shop, we hire like people and they just brand the thing out. So within like 4 days with 3 guys, they can just wrap the entire unit in a different color. So this is sometimes the trick we have to make sure we can accommodate even the very late request.
Nice. And we understand, how important it is to have the relationship directly with the brands and understanding the brands. You come from the action sport industry, but we have this, I said, this great knowledge of understanding brands, and we're brand guys. And what's the ratio about like working directly with brands and working with agencies? Because this is something sometimes, we understand brands better than some other outside agency, and we have to go back to the brand and going like, hey, is this really what you thought about? Or like, we thought about this thing, like what's the ratio, like brand versus agency for your company?
I would say 50-50. I would say 50% direct with the brand, and into the 50% of the agency we work with, there's like half of the like 25% that it's every year. So we work with this agency with the same brand. So we're not direct with the brand, but the brand own asset that we built for them.
Yeah.
So they know us. They know we're gonna work, and if they need like the floor change, the branding, they knew it's every 2-3 years, and we're there. It's easy for them. They have like so that's the ratio we work with. And special project about like new agency they coming and ask you, I would say it's about 25% of our business. And those requests mostly coming for like the big trade shows. So like IBS, CES, Connex, it's mostly like the biggest show they have mostly in Las Vegas. So those agencies, special project, late requests, they mostly for those show oriented.
Does your brand need some help in the trade marketing department? Manage your sales tools with Regulator's easy-to-use features. Whether it's fixtures or displays, POP, custom art or promo products, you can submit single or bulk orders for all your locations within minutes, using a simple, streamlined process. Deliver content, manage your budget and view the market, all from the palm of your hand. Move up to 10 times faster than your competitors and capture all the opportunities that put your brand on top. Visit brandregulator.com for more information.
I'm assuming that you guys are continuously getting discovered, because your structures are out there, but brands, like there's so many brands that I've just been like, they're like, oh, we want to do this, this, this. I'm like, it's not us. Go talk to these guys over here. We don't do that. Although we did start fooling around. Just FYI, I built my own container office this year. So I took Alex is laughing. I took a stab. I needed some space out at my ranch, and I didn't have, my beautiful wife Harper is a lawyer and needed our combined office. So I had to give up my own space. And we have someone that works in our house that is constantly in there, other than her, that took up where I used to work, which was the kitchen table. So I had literally nowhere to work. So I built myself a container office, and it is the funnest thing ever because you can just get in, start cutting. It's got this amazing post and beam external. So if anyone doesn't know, like on a 20-foot regular shipping container, all the load is done through the beams around the outside. The tin that holds up, that is literally the box, that's garbage. Like that can basically disappear in its entirety, and the structure stays really good. So you can put big windows in and doors, and sky's the limit because of this neat sort of already pre-configured thing. When you guys are going in, so you've already mentioned you've got 3 partners, and it's pretty fun because it sounds like a Dr. Seuss thing. One's really pragmatic, one's really artistic, and then there's you in the middle that I believe probably mostly ties everything together and is out there actually making sure that these things are getting installed and up to brand standard. So with that, you guys have this whole slew of tradespeople on the back end, painters, electricians, I'm assuming mill workers, on and on and on. Are you guys producing this? Like, how big's your facility, first off?
But Loki has expand through COVID because PM really like campers
Right.
and all this stuff. So we went from 7,000 foot square to a little bit more than 22,000
Wow.
foot square as a factory. So we just got in March 2023 a brand new facility with 28 foot ceiling clear, so we can go 3 high.
Wow.
And a full mezzanine for offices, but a full mezzanine for everything, electric component. So basically now there's Loki Box, but also there's Lucky Coach. We got a deal with I'm not involved in those departments, but I do support the factory and the facilities and all the stuff around it. But short story, long story. So we get a deal with Prevo. So right now this department is building camper out of the buses. And it's a massive add-on for us too, because now we got all the electrician for this very complex build are in the next bay. So if we do something and we're struggling with the little detail, we say, hey, Jan, what's up with this component? It's just been jumping, and within 5 minutes we get the solution, because now, before being 25 people, we're now 65 people under the same roof. So it's a very big expansion. So so we get 22,000 foot square inside, and we get about 25,000 foot square as storage outside. Yeah. So that's huge.
No, that's dude, huge. That's massive. And these buses are beautiful, which to be honest, I didn't even know you guys were doing that conversion. I know you guys were fooling around with like smaller camper style conversion stuff, but I did not see these large coach conversions, which are gorgeous. So you guys have this space. Like, are you guys cleaning the world out of containers as they come in? Like, there's a lot of shipping containers, but you guys are using a lot. Like, you guys must have like a giant backstock of containers waiting to be cut up and move forward. Are you guys procuring
We
those
don't
as you
really.
go?
Yeah, we order them as we go because we're very well connected with the Port of Montreal,
Right.
as the Port of Halifax. So that's the two main door on the East Coast to get good shipping containers. Depending what we do, if we do like a something for food or something, we always need to see like what's the DNA of the shipping container, what's been used for. So usually we're only buying one way shipping containers,
Yeah.
so they consider as new, and making sure you just like transport like cardboard box, like no like chemicals
Sure.
or stuff like that. So that's the process of getting good shipping containers. But what is interesting, what we do with our regular basis customer. For example, we have Can-Am that they want to have like the craziest setup. They buying it, and we store it for them. And if I have a request last minute, I'm calling Can-Am and say, hey, can I use your units for this client? So I just revamp it, rebrand it, shred it. I kind of just remix it and send it. So what is nice with some of our clients have many units that it's been stored at our facilities. They get a kickback on the investment every month because we rent them to other clients that they just want it for one time show. So that's the structure we have, and that's how we are able to have multiple requests and short time notice. That's how we do that.
Brilliant. And just to back up on how the containers sort of get birthed into this world, 99.9% of them are built over in China. And they, in the import process of shipping goods from China to North America, they need to send all their goods in these containers. We've all seen the containers. There's 40 foot, there's 20 foot, there's different heights, and there's a few configurations, but basically there's 20 and 40s. And so what Gabe was talking about was the containers, a single trip over. So even if you wanted to buy a new container from China, it would have to travel across the sea. So what happens is someone will load, their, product, their footwear. Nike sends over a container of shoes, which they would do so many times in a year, and those containers come over here, they unload the goods, and then the containers are available to be purchased if the end user doesn't want to keep them. And that's sort of just how they come here. So you guys, Gabe, being in Montreal, give you access to all the East Coast ports. You'd be able to pull containers from New York, Halifax, and obviously where you are right now, Port Montreal, and be able to get this stuff, which is super convenient that you guys are there, because that it is literally at this point a never-ending supply of that product coming in, which is interesting because unlike plywood, Baltic birch, we can't get Russian Baltic birch anymore, so we have to use Chinese version of this, which is a really dense core ply. But other building materials end up being, even it was really obvious through COVID, like it's hard to get stuff sometimes, and the prices go wildly fluctuate, where containers only fluctuate pretty much on the core price of the steel, which is great. So it's a really consistent building material to base a business off of, which I love. You guys do some incredible stuff, and you guys, like, when I'm interested and I'm really curious, when a brand comes to you and goes, we want to do an event and this is what's in our head, and they give you a paper and napkin sketch of some variety, or they have their own renders, you guys look at that. I know just from dealing with Alex and you in the past, you are a brand-centric person. You understand brand. So for you to be able to look at it and go, well, that feels off-brand. What if we did something a little different? How much influence do you have with the consumer and the sort of final and how much consultation do you do on like to get it brand correct, to make sure that everything is transportable, that it nails budget, that it's then also sustainable to use event after event and have these things transported literally across continents to get used. I'm assuming that's a giant component of what you're doing. How does that interaction usually? So if you had let's just remove an agency out of it and simplify it. A brand comes to you and goes, "We got this idea." Where does it go from there? How long is the process? Like realistically, through holding their hand, they've never built a structure before. I'm assuming not like that. So what does that process look like?
I have a very good example, which is funny. It's like if the full circle. One of my buddy owned agency. It's called Stack Global. They work a lot with Vans, Red Bull, Monsters, and they came at me in March, and they say, "Hey, we want to do a pop-up shop for Vans and Dime in Paris in September." So basically, the concept, it was to Jamie, you know Dime.
Yes,
I'm pretty sure you do.
Yeah.
So Dime is a I feel it's like the next Supreme a little bit. I feel very like it's the beginning of how it works with Supreme back in the days. And they have a very nice shop on Saint Laurent, which is one of the biggest streets in Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
In their shop is all wood, and like all the counter are custom made, and flooring is concrete. So basically, they want to reproduce the shop into a shipping container and send it over to Paris, launch a new shoes. And after we used the boutique for a couple of days near the Eiffel Tower, we just skate it and we destroy it. So that was the concept. So basically, it took about 3 months of drawing, making sure like the way there was a challenge because like in Europe, it's the electricity is different.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, we sat together. Josh from Stack, he just like sat with the guy from Dime and Vans, and they just like give us like their perfect layout. And for sure, that was like, all right, you want a folding door there, but you're gonna have a beam there, so the counter needs to move, and on and on. So I would say, to answer your question, in the better world, to produce a very nice and solid unit will take 6 months. Just in the factory regarding the welding, because when the shipping container goes in, those guys need to cut it,
Mm-hmm.
and when they cut it, they need to weld a bunch of stuff around it. So it's complex. There's a lot of things to do around it. So we have more time. The final product is amazing. So basically, what we did in Paris was amazing. I think, Alex, you saw a lot of the press we got on Instagram, and everyone was talking about for like a week. And we what we did also, I was like, we had like for sure restriction regarding budget. So what we did, instead doing many location into the city, I managed to get the best logistic company in Paris to drive around from 6 a.m. and we did like Arc de Triomphe, Eiffel Tower, and the driver we had, he did so many illegal stuff during those half a day driving into Paris, and we got those sickest crazy shot with the events times Dime on the container in different location through Paris. And what we did also, those guys kind of like have the suspense and stuff, so we shrink it into thermomountable plastic that you use for boats, to shrink boats.
Yeah.
And we put die cut on it, so it looks like a big shoe box, but you never really look what was behind. So that was the entire concept. So basically, it took us like 6 months from the first conversation all the way to the morning that we break all the rules downtown Paris.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So it's a 6-month runway. Logistically, how you had to boat that thing over? You built it, and do you build it in North America and move it over?
Yeah. So
Wow.
now we officially officially a certified importer exporter for European Union.
From brand development to simple market executions, 54 Blue helps brands of all sizes grow with sustainability in mind. Their full stack range of services include print, fabrication, design, web, interactive, content marketing, brand consulting, creative strategy, and more. Join some of the world's largest brands and lean on 54 Blue for your next go-to-market. Visit 54blue.com for more information.
What was the added cost? Like, what's the like? I know it's just moving the thing over there and a bunch of flights for you guys to go over and help execute it. But what's moving a container? Like your finished container folds back up to transportable boat size, I'm assuming. What was the like? Is it 4 or 5K to get that thing over to Paris, or what's the cost on moving a container? Way more.
One way was about 30 grand.
Woo! Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
because the thing is, as soon as you touch the original structure of the shipping container itself, you need to like, since you're certified, you don't play dumb with anything that you did on the container.
Mm-hmm.
So we were like, we modified them here. How does it look when it's open? How does it look when it's closed? And since there's a foldable door and stuff, we need to take a special boat.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't get stuck properly like the other shipping containers. So we need to go in some boat that transport like freight.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, it needs to be transported from Montreal to Port of Halifax, and then from Port of Halifax need to jump on a boat. Then it needs to ship in Anvers, which is north of France, and from there it needs to be carried over Paris. So that's a lot of logistics.
Yeah, a couple.
Yeah, and even the funny thing is like we need to call Canadian Customs, and they need to come inspect everything. And when in the shop, and when they done, they snap every single places that you can go inside with like a seal, like a metal seal, like if you break it, you're in trouble when you arrive in Europe. So they just like put everything on the shipping containers, and then we wrap it, put the branding, and then put on the truck and hope for the best for the next couple months.
So there's like a sealed tech inspection for all the containers that are being shipped.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I just, while you were explaining it, I was way too curious. So I popped onto Dime's Instagram and can see it right now. It's a killer execution. Is this left over there, or did you guys bring this unit back?
Yeah, it's still there. So if you have any contact, any clients that are looking for a pretty cool shipping container for the Olympics, it's still there. So yeah, we left there. We have like a year to bring it back. It's in our assets. We were thinking about bringing it back. It was like, I think we should wait a couple more months.
Yeah.
Maybe use it for Olympics. That type of things will be people will be looking for such a thing, I think, in the next couple months.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'll let my buddies over at Oakley know that this is sitting over there and it's ready to go, because it's cool and they could use it as something on snow. Are we winter over there? It's summer over there.
Yeah, summer.
Summer games.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they could use this no problem over there, I'm sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
and part of the process, Jimmy, you were asking how deep we go. It was funny because I was with my millwork guy and my welders and stuff, and Josh at Stack was like, "Can we skate everything we're building?" I was like, "Oof, I think we'll need to double layer here and there." So basically, every rack and counter that was there, we just like, for example, like the T-shirt rack was like
skatable rail
left to right.
Yeah.
And we just like turning it around, and from the floor it was like popping up, and then people were just grinding it, and yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's an amazing execution. So I am like forever. I love to build things. I think all three of us. Like Alex is a builder. He's sitting in his home that he hand built himself. I build everything myself. There's just something about starting something completely new and watching it build. Like over the past, well, it was a year ago, but over 16 months, a year ago, I built a tennis court out of my property and did all of it. Like did the excavation, built retaining walls, packed all the pad. And dude, this was on a crazy, 10% grade hill that I built a giant tennis court. And the feeling that you get when you're done building something like that is insane. And you guys are building the coolest brand executions, and I don't know, just blows my mind. And I think more brands should do it. And brands like, I'm assuming like, okay, so BRP or it's Can-Am. Can-Am.
Now it's Can-Am. It used to be BRP, but now,
it's Can-Am.
we call it Can-Am.
They've got multiple units. They found ways of doing it. Do they have different units? Do they have units that get used on snow, units that get used at water events? Like, do they have like functionally, have they just built up a fleet of these things, or like what's up like
for now we're only working with off-road,
okay.
which is like the side-by-side and the ATV.
Right.
So they like to change unit often. So what we do, they more go like into, nowadays they more into a rental program.
Okay.
So they can switch every 2 years. They don't need to support the investment for too long. So, but the thing is, like, we, instead of having just one unit with the creative team, we say, okay, we're going to put 2 units front to front with a big beam, going to put the ladders we've been using, put on top. So we just like remix everything and make many add-on. So basically BRP just start back in the days with like 140 foot. And then he used the split 40. So that was 140 foot, but open like a mouth. But after like this year, we come up with the beam, and then we put like a tattoo barber shop in the middle between the 220 with the beam above. And then we have a DJ booth on top. And then it's now we work with them more as well as an agency. So when we go to their key event, we just take care of everything. For example, like there's a race, they rent bleachers, how we make those bleachers looks better, how we going to have like an owner zone, how we make the brand more bold and vibrant in every event. That's something that we've been enjoying a little bit more and more year after year, having more staff and more experienced staff in the business. So that's how we work with them. But with BRP, we're working only on off-road right now. But for the first time in 2024, we're going to start working with on-road, which is the Spider department. And they're going to release also, they already released it, but people is going to start able to touch it. It's electric motocross, MX. So we're going to Montreal and Toronto in February 2024. So now we 2 department out of the 4 department. But for sure, we try when we work with brands to get as much department as possible to make the investment into the assets more, to have more for their dollar. So if they combine all the department into one assets and they don't have the same dates, we can do so much more with the same assets, and it's still looking good, So that's what we try to do with brand like this.
Yeah, it's incredible. I'm curious, do bulk of your customers, are they coming in and spending CapEx, actual real dollars, and just paying a check, or are they leasing these units? Like, to me, this seems like a really perfect leasable thing that can be written off for brands, and most of them would not look at it from that perspective. But to come in and drop $250,000 on a structure in real cash is a real thing, but to finance that and lease that over a 5-year period, which I'm assuming the lifespan of these things can be incredibly long, like literally infinite, and you'd have to maintain them, but it's basically a house. So are you getting, like, what's your breakdown between, and you may not even see it because you would just get paid and it would potentially be by a leasing company or direct, but are people like taking advantage of that sort of write-off ability of leasing? And going through that with you guys, or is that a undiscovered territory?
Most of the time is, if the thing is like the challenge with us, it's like most of the business is cash flow. So when you build those units, it's very costly. Even for us that's been doing this for a long time. So what we do, like we can offer sometimes to big client that they say, all right, we're going to activate it 3 times, 4 times a year, give them like the opportunity to pay their asset through those events. So for example, if they do 4 times a year for 3 years, and they're going to have like 12 payments. So that's sometimes some things that we can do with different clients. But the thing is, if you have like 3-4 clients like this, how has this, we're not a big business. Yeah, we are like in the market, but how we can support this. So it's very about when the client knock on our door, if that's really what they need, we sit together, and we're flexible on this. But for sure, the best way to do that for us, it's a brand say, all right, I got a capex. This is the end of the year. I need to spend it, or the next year they say, hey, we're gonna invest into that. Can we use your capex this year, pay another portion next year with a new budget, and then the leftover in the year after? That's stuff that we do. We need to get creative to make sure we keep those brands that they put their trust on us.
We're not here for the high rollers, snooty wine critics, or long-haul collectors, but we do think it's about time wine cellars turned into swoon-worthy works of art. Our experienced designers will bring your dream wine cellar to life, fitting any sized space and aesthetic requirements in your home. Our craftsmen carefully hand-build your cellar to give you a wine storage space that really feels like you. Visit themoderncellar.com for more information.
Yeah, I see that being a huge part of what you guys do, because it is just not cheap. Like we don't, on ours, at 54 Blue, we don't have to do that. All the stuff we do, if we're building a pop-up shop or something, like right now we're working on a head office for a major brand where we're building, 4 giant spaces within this brand. And, for them, that's a pre-budgeted, ready to go thing. And yeah, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars, but they've already prepped for it. I see that people can stumble across, or they're like, the marketing teams, the collaterals come down, it goes to the trade events and stuff, and then they just start spinning on what's the best way to execute. And if they end up in your hands, it's an expensive execution, and it should be, because they are really hard things to build, but they're amazing and they're long lasting, and the brands can dedicate into them. So it's funny, because you guys would be the perfect leasing product, perfect for a big brand. Yeah. Where all their vehicles are all leased, and that's for you're not going to go in. Oakley's not going to go in and buy 10 F-350s cash. That's crazy. They're all leased. They're writing them off, through the independent subsidiaries and wrapping these things and using them for their maximum benefit. This is the exact same thing. Like you would lease that. Like you wouldn't buy one of those giant coaches. Well, maybe someone with an inordinate amount of money would walk in and pay cash for it. Yeah. But you're leasing that thing, and or financing the crap out of it. So really interesting.
Yeah, but we lease some of them, but we're leasing the one that one brand invests into it. So is there one brand out of a 10 that is investing into a structure? If I have this structure in my warehouse sitting there and another brand need it, I'm going to lease it for 1 show, 2 show, and I'm going to rent it to the client who invests money into it. And we have, I would say, 7-8 units that we own. So we went into a lease program that the brand didn't want to spend the money on it. So we did finance it, but at the end, we're keeping the unit, Yeah. So that's the way we have like couple units that we easily be able to lease.
That's really interesting. How many times have you guys talked about building houses? Because I'm assuming that conversation's come up 1,000 times in your building. Have you guys actually, for any of the partners or for someone else, built a proper home structure?
We try. Yeah. Yeah, we try Loki Home. We used to have a website. We get hacked, and we didn't even put money to get it back. To be honest, because it's the way it resonates. It's just shipping container house. It's more affordable.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a small budget, you can build a house out of a shipping container. So that is true in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
But if you're building a cottage in northern Quebec and you're hoping to save money using a shipping container, this is incorrect.
Yeah.
So we did two, two or three, two 140 footer and 120 footer, full insulate, outside insulation, cladding, windows, everything like low-key signature, and it was pretty dope. But we realized very quickly that it was not simple. And most of the customer, like we try it in 2015, 2016, we try it for like 24 months because we want to be like one-stop shop. So marketing, housing, industrial, and commercial, we want to do it all. Like that's the way you grow your brand. And after 2 years, like, you know what? Money is in marketing. You
Yeah.
need to do like crazy shit with good brands that put trust on you and build your business with it. So after that, like we sold it to cottages, and that was all good. We didn't lose that much money, but we did realize pretty quickly that our strength and our core business were definitely not oriented into shipping container houses.
Yeah, good for you, because I would have been instantly drawn and suckered into that because I love home structures. I would have never been able to hold myself back. I would have gone completely into it and probably folded a company. But that's
Gab,
me.
you understand? Gab, now you understand that Jamie is project driven. So building his tennis court and then doing his container office, and now he's just looking for another project to do at the ranch. You know?
No. My projects out there are hopefully complete, at least for a little bit. But yeah, I'm so intrigued by, one of the guys who would have been on the podcast before this, Colin Baden, who was the CEO of Oakley and head of design through the big blow up of what Oakley was. He is actually an architect, and he's the one who designed the crazy Oakley building and all that stuff. And offline, and a tiny bit on the podcast, but definitely offline, I talked to him for like half an hour, 40 minutes about like shipping container structures. He's completely enamored by them. In fact, Oakley, Alex, I don't know if you ever got to go to the annexed sort of building of Oakley. There's the big mothership building, and then just down the street they needed
On the other side, yeah.
Yeah, they needed a giant facility that would hold, I don't know, a couple hundred people. And he took a giant warehouse and built like a giant container interior. There was nothing over, there was 1 3 high structure, but everything else was 2 and 1 and stuff. But he built like all of these amazing offices, made this killer campus of it. And it's funny because architects are enamored with shipping container style stuff, just because it's like, it takes them back to when they were a kid and you could stack Lego blocks and build things. And that's literally just like it. I feel that it just takes them back there. You guys have taken it to a completely different level. But it is like, it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Yeah, we did pretty cool architect offices in Boston. On our website, you can see it. It's Workbox.
Workbox.
So that was pretty cool. Yeah. So we do that. We love it. Like, I mean, no insulation, and you keep the nature of the product, which is like the steel, and then you put windows and a little bit of wood here and there. That's we do that still, and we like to do that because they're more architectural and structural design involved in this. But yeah, as soon as you're talking about spray foam, you're losing me.
Yeah. Unfortunately, some of it does need to be spray foamed, including my office, because it's Calgary and at -30, I need this thing to be warm. But like, it's, incredibly satisfying. But I have I'm the ultimate in dumb hipster buildings. In my quiver of hipster buildings, I have a tiny home out at my ranch. I have a container office. I have a fully built out Sprinter van. And then I built a tennis court with a clubhouse, and I have the trifecta though of stupid hipster things: a container, a tiny home, and a Sprinter van. I've got all of the dumb stuff, but I love it. And building, I don't think most people understand when you're given a really fixed parameter, 8 feet by 20 feet by 8.5 feet tall or whatever it may be. That's when it's fun. When it's like, okay, now we need to put an entire shoe store in there, and this needs to now go across the ocean to Paris and get moved 1,000 different ways and get put in there. The box that you have to get put in as a designer, as a person that is going to move this thing, that's when it gets fun. When it's like, yeah, just build me anything. It's like, okay. And that's kind of fun when you have no parameters. But I find the challenges in you being jammed into this really tight thing and having to make everything you need in that space. And we do a ton of shop and shop style builds, which is that problem always. And Alex does a ton of these for North Face and a bunch of different companies through 54 Blue. But we love it because it's like, okay, we got exactly 22 feet 3 inches by 10 feet 6 inches, and that's it. And here's what the brand requirements are. And then you're like, okay, what's our height? What's, and then you get to start molding the consumer interaction. It's super fun. I don't know. I think we're probably 3 of the luckiest people because we get to invent a thing. These don't exist. What you guys have, some of them exist, but you've got your partner who, like you said, you just you walk in and it's like, we need something new. And he goes through his files. He goes, what about this? And then pulls up something. And you're like, oh my God, I don't even know. How the hell are we going to even do that? And he's like, I don't know. Give it a shot. But that ability to do that is such a rare business thing. And I love it, which makes me love your guys' company. I think it's super dope. Alex, you've been so quiet for the last 10 minutes.
I've been listening. It's been pretty interesting, but I had a question for Gab about how do you manage your assets and the current stage of the execution or the latest stage of the execution that you have, for each brand. How do you manage and compile?
Are you talking the project management of each one, Alex?
Project management, but the actual status of each container, what's the latest layout of an actual unit?
Interesting.
The way we try to document every single event. So we have a video photographer in-house that is also a project manager, and is helping me also with the sales and stuff. So what we do, we always have picture of stuff that we have. That's the way we do. And also for bigger brands, for example, Bell, we have one dedicated account manager. So that person makes sure everything is there and he knows exactly what's been done before. So what is nice for now, we have new stuff coming with those big brands, but a lot of this stuff that we do, it's just repeat. So for example, Montreal Grand Prix, the F1, we have all the assets that we create last year because they knew they're going to do it a couple times. So we know exactly this assets is there. And even if we turn around the unit that they were there, for example, the flooring were gray. So we removed those flooring. They're still good because they're metal. We stack them. We put a number project on it. They're there. They're standing there. And then the next year we put those flooring back. So it's different, but the big brands has always an account manager that tracks every project from E to Z. And even when we winterize everything. We mark everything. It's what is in the unit. We open the unit. Okay, it's there, and you make a list, and we write on the plastic what's in there. So at spring, if you scratch your head, you look, oh yeah, this is what I have in there. So I know it's in there, and it's ready to go. So that's the stuff that we do. We working to have a better understanding and tracking all these items. I won't say it's perfect, but like I would say we're 75% there. But having a little bit more people in the business, we just hired a new director a couple of weeks ago. So having more account manager for the bigger clients, that will help a lot. So that's how we can manage a project A to Z.
I love it. And just to be self-serving, I know a guy who created a system called Regulator that is amazing, and it will totally help what you guys are doing. So I will get that guy, who happens to be me, to send over the info of what we can do to help you with just that organization part. I'm really curious, like, you have, like, how many units do you guys have in production at any point in the like Loki box style, not in coach, but in box? How many units are fairly consistently in production? Like, do you have a production line flow of any variety, or does your team,
it's
like,
it's very up and down.
Okay.
Because right now we have 3 units in pre-prod, so we're about to launch this. So like we need to sometimes outsource when it gets a little too crunchy. We'll outsource welding here and there, and the core itself, to just gain time, because we know like we're gonna have all the PO number in January, and everybody gonna want to sit in May. But I've been trying to hit the nail as hard as I can for the last couple of weeks. Like, guys, we need to launch this, because I know like there's other customer in line.
Yeah.
So it's not like the factory. It's not like a full on easy linear
production
same
line.
level production. So it go by speak. So sometimes we need to hire more welder. We have like some people, like we outsource. They came in the factory, they'll help us, or we giving to another little factory that we know like there's this thing they've produced before, they're good. So that's how we manage this. It's very hardly variable.
Yeah, it makes sense. And with everything being so custom, it's not like a car production line where it's, the exact same thing running down, and the person, station, Z is just putting in a certain type of bolt, all this at that station the whole time. It's all custom. So like everything is finicky. Everything is like, needs tweaks and like, to get it. It's not like a simple thing. And if anyone who's going through the website, you'll see really quickly that it's not just a simple thing. They're all different, and gloriously all different. Just makes it more complicated and hard.
It happens like it's funny, just like it happened one time, and it was so nice, but it's so overwhelming though. We had to produce the little pod, the LB8, which is like it's 5,000 pounds. You can tow it with a pickup truck. You can set it up a 24 by 16 footprint within like 45 minutes, and only with like a 2,000 volt generator. So basically, Budweiser orders 16 of them. So during 4 months, we were delivering one per week for like half of a year. It was amazing.
Wow.
It was very hard to get the ball rolling, but as soon it was rolling, it was amazing. Like it was like an orchestra.
Yeah.
Like in the shop, you had like all those brands from Budweiser getting branded color, and all the PO like coming in. It was amazing. I hopefully like anytime soon we're gonna do some project like this, because it was pretty fun to watch. So 4 units were delivered in the Southwest, so we were loading all the 4 units on the same truck, and they were like in 4 stuff: Arizona, Nevada, California. So it was very fun production, but we haven't really tasted the regularly 1 unit every month for a little while. I'm sure it's gonna come back. COVID once again has definitely a big impact on this. But yeah, we have pretty cool stuff on the table right now that we're going to produce in 2024, and we can't wait
Yeah, I
to
love it.
start.
And Alex and I were chatting yesterday. I think we were chatting, Alex, about the so just even from my software company side, we're seeing a lot of all these direct consumer companies that popped up just before COVID or during COVID. You know, like I'm dealing right now with a fly fishing company, two different footwear companies that were direct to consumer, just online sales, and all of these people are all the cost of acquisition for online customers is very expensive. It 10x'd over the past 2 years. And for a whole bunch of reasons. One, it was just way too cheap to start with, and it had to have a natural correction. And then people are now also just trying to make a whole bunch more money out of customer acquisition because they know how important it is, and they were just sort of giving it away. So it's gotten really expensive. So all these companies are flattening, and they're all of them are like, we need to be in brick and mortar. Like, we need to be in brick and mortar. And there's a bunch of there's a company out of, oh God, I want to say Boston. I could be wrong. And they are a leasing, store building staffing company. And they go into the direct to consumer companies, and they go and they find leases all around North America in different malls. They buy the leases, and then they'll pop it up as an organic shop for, one of these D2C companies. The D2C company goes to them, hires this person to be their person that runs brick and mortar. And that's the first example of like a really smart coming out of COVID company that I saw, where it was just like, oh my God, that's so brilliant. And they literally, the staff interchanges between the different stores. If there's multiple stores in the mall, they share staff. It's like, it is brilliant. And they can close the store if it's not working and pop a new store like that, because they have all these a quiver of other brands that are doing it. You guys being in that same world as we are, and I said this a year ago and no one believed me, but the brick and mortar consumer experience is going to come back, and it's going to come back in such a huge way, a massive way. And the digital experience is about convenience. The real world experience is about interacting with brands, and that's when you can get people to join your tribe. So your company is a perfect example of that. So kudos to the brands that use you, because providing that real world tactile end consumer experience is like, that is going to be in the next 2 years the most obvious thing that every brand needs to do again. Whether you're a female clothing store and everybody that walks in gets a glass of champagne and everyone gets treated in a certain way, that tier of consumer experience is 100% going to be the main focus in the next 2 years. And if your brand isn't focusing on that, you're fucked. Straight. Like, you are fucked. You will die a terrible death, because why the hell would you shop at women's store X if women's store Y you walk in and you get treated like a goddess? Well, obviously you're going to spend your money over in the other space. And people are really hungry. The consumer is hungry to go back and feel that experience. This is why the premium movie theaters, where you get food brought to your, their seats are heated, they're cooled, they vibrate, they like, you can get a massage, they're bringing you bottles of wine, like that experience level at the cinema. Well, I will only go to a theater like that. I'm not going to go sit in a normal theater now and have to go get my own popcorn like a peasant. No chance. Like, I'm going to spend the extra $40 and have it completely. I'm going to get a quesadilla or a hamburger, and I'm like, it's that experience is so, like, we're hungry for it. And there's an entire generation of kids that got sort of jacked out of their last few years of high school that have missed all of this in their normal life. This whole generation is going to be hungry for this real world feel. So events are going to be insane. Alex, do you disagree?
I
Like, I
totally
think you
agree. And
agree.
this is exactly
Yeah.
what we discussed 2 days ago, about how the pandemic brought us to understand and fast forwarding like the importance of like the digital media, and going back in such a short period to the importance of touching and feeling and the brand vibe, that cannot be cannot be pushed to consumer just online, except for the media and the video. We came from 5 or 6 years ago where a lot of people, a lot of brick and mortar brands were going like, hey, we need to understand or make our .com more efficient and better, and try to get new consumer. And then the pandemic just like brought that full circle super fast to, okay, now we need to go back to people entering the store and driving people to store, and the brick and mortar importance.
Yeah, I think, Gabe, I think you guys are positioned for an insane volume of growth. If you guys, I hope you see that. I'm sure you guys do. Like, it is,
We
there's,
feel it. We can't wait to touch it.
yeah, I believe wholeheartedly, without a shadow of a doubt, that the market is going to continue. Like, there will be brands that go out of business in the next year for sure. There's still brands that are kind of on shaky ground. Like, the bicycle business is a disaster. Everyone over ordered, thinking that COVID wasn't actually a thing. They just thought for some reason that now everybody figured out that mountain biking is a really cool thing. Well, no, guys, COVID literally forced all these people into doing this. And by the way, you now have, 3x the amount of inventory that you needed. Like, Alex, I heard yesterday one of the bike companies was doing a BOGO on high-end mountain bikes. Buy one, get one.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Oh,
A
yeah.
BOGO from a major mountain bike brand. Buy one, get one free. Tell me that, tell me that someone hasn't made a giant error in judgment. And I'll say this over and over to a bunch of brands. 10% growth year over year is unsustainable after the point of about 15 years. It doesn't work anymore. You can't continue to end over end grow. It doesn't work. And those numbers get bigger and bigger and bigger as the numbers grow. Everyone needs to understand the growth of brands do this, and they sort of flatten out, and sometimes brands completely disappear. It's fairly rare, but brands don't just go and keep going straight up to the moon. Very rarely. Apple being one that is like, kind of looked like it for a while, but even they have flattened growth. That's what happens. But back to the main subject. If you're a brand and you're not focusing on your consumer experience in the brick and mortar real world market, you're doomed. You're doomed. And everyone needs to focus on these things, because your competitors are going to do a way better job. They're going to go to Loki and they're going to get a really amazing thing and they're going to blow it. They're going to come to a company like mine where all we do is activate and market with consumers, and they're going to focus down and they're going to beat you down. So if you're not in that same system, you better get there. Alert all brands. It's time to worry about brick and mortar marketplace and events and all these things again. And they're deadly. People want it. What do you guys have coming up? Where can someone see your product in the next little bit? Where do we see an execution from you guys in the next 6 months that's attainable?
Yeah, there's many actually, but we're gonna be in King of the Hammer, which is side-by-side race going in California every late January.
Okay.
So this is a big race. It's 100,000 people going there for camping and just ride their bikes, ride their ATV, and just for 2 weeks. So this is late January. It's going to be pretty much fun. We get the...
Sorry, that'll be a BRP Can-Am execution? Cool.
Yep, there's going to be a Can-Am execution. We have Salon de l'Auto de Montréal, which is the auto show, Montreal Auto Show.
Yeah.
For Can-Am on-road and also for Ford. We do like a small pop-up for Ford. They have like a mobile unit that we built a year ago that they goes into dealer and stuff for their electric program.
Awesome.
And we're getting ready for Grand Prix of Montreal.
Right.
Because this year Bell is there. Bell kind of is main sponsor, so they want to do more year after year, which is great. We did 3 out of the 4 Grand Prix in North America this year, so hopefully we're gonna do the Miami one in March. So we're working on that right now. So it will be a goal for us to do the 4 Grand Prix across North America. That will be cool. And summer is magic, so it's going to be music festival, Montreal,
Galore,
Toronto, Quebec, and yeah. So this is what we are working on right now.
Talking about music festivals, you guys been involved, in brand execution and music festivals. Now you got the work on the tour bus and the branded tour bus. What's the next step? Like portable music stages for pop-up shows?
I think our business is still very strong, and I see all the requests every day coming in, and just with this, it's satisfying. I think what's next is just to come with new shapes we haven't done. And also, like, even we haven't done, we so many times we're so close to go to the Super Bowl. We never been there yet. So many times we're so close to go to Coachella. So this is like a couple big venues we haven't been involved in North America. I'm talking in North America because we've done almost all of it. So this is like stuff that we working on. Who's going to be the next big brand going there? How we can get there. So it's more working on that, having like new big clients at new big venues, and also just working. We just expanding our creative team, so we want to work a little bit more like as an agency. So doing the concept A to Z, but bringing all the ideas and taking care even more of everything. So this is what more we're going to focus on the next 3 to 5 years, because our core business, the structure themselves, they're sick. We don't need to we always need to work on our project for sure, but the core business is already there. So we just want to be better and expand around it a little bit more,
Amazing. If you're a brand, you guys should go look at lokiboxdesign.com. Gabe, thanks for being open about everything. Thanks for being an amazing Canadian business. There are so many amazing Canadian businesses that make the US market a better place. And most people feel that everything, comes from the big brother to the little brother. But I love to see the fact that you guys are the absolute state of the art in this style marketing, and it's amazing. And I wish more people would do it. And I only hope you get more business, because your business is super cool and it elevates the consumer experience, which to me is delightful. Whether I do it or someone else does it, it's just so cool to see someone building things outside, mind the pun, outside the box, but doing it in a way that is so unique. So really appreciate your time. Alex, thanks for jumping in. Gabe, if you get any crazy projects and you want to do a podcast on a specific project, I would love to do that one day, just to be able to show people the process of what it is to sort of run through the whole thing. I think would be really interesting to a lot of people. And, marketing is such a big sphere, and most people don't understand, marketing encompasses advertising and PR and events and all these things. So your very interesting division of marketing is thrilling. So thank you for being.
Thank you, Jamie.
Awesome,
I very appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys. That was a very nice chat, and I feel very lucky to be invited to talk with you this afternoon.
Yeah, I love it, bro. Okay, we'll stay in tight contact, 100%.
For sure.
Thanks, brother.
Take care, guys.
Appreciate it.